Hello, welcome to another episode of the Pretty Huge Dilemma podcast. I am your host, Jacob Barrett. Today, March Madness happening. A lot to get to today. Another exciting episode. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see what I can do and hopefully you can find something that you relate to. Is March Madness going on? Watch some of it yesterday, and it's funny when I give sports updates, everything's a week behind of what's happening. So this is not up to date news. This isn't breaking. You're not getting updates as things are happening. It's kind of a week behind. Because last week I talked about the Iowa women's wrestling, which happened a week before that. Talked about the Iowa Wrestling Big Ten, and when I release that episode, the national championships are happening for it. So, kind of funny how that happens, but I'm not going to let that deter me from talking about it because it's what I'm watching, what I'm paying attention to. So, I'm going to keep that theme up. So, what's happened so far? Thursday, like I said, I only have one TV setup, which hoping to improve that to 4 or 5 TVs next year for the March Madness tournament, and also to watch the wrestling championships on there, which it's a big investment, so starting to save up now. Need the TV setups, need to figure out how to mount them onto a wall without them falling, or maybe I'll just hire someone to do that. Got to figure out all the subscription packages I need. I think it's just Paramount Plus or HBO Max. I think those come together. Then I think ESPN Plus will cover all of that. So hoping to have that set up. But for the wrestling, maybe not. I don't know how many Iowa wrestlers went to the quarterfinals or semifinals yet. I'll review all that when the results come out and have to figure out if I need to be disappointed or upset about it. But hoping for a 4 TV setup, and to do that, probably also need a house with its own room for it. If we get a 3-bedroom house, I'll have to figure out a way to make one of those rooms just an entertainment room of a bunch of TV setups and video games, computer monitors, things like that, because not too much room here in the apartment to do that. But to get that house, slight hiccup in the process. Went through a house with a realtor, looked through it. It was an updated house. It was a smart home. I don't know what that means. Well, what it means is there's a bunch of updates. It's supposed to be better efficient for electricity. The lights will only be on when it senses movement in the room. When it goes in and out, closet lights would automatically go on and off when you close the doors. Everything is pretty new. Kitchen looked nice. There was like weird lighting in the kitchen. It had lighting you see, well, it's at my gym where it just has like those long bulbs for it and then like that plastic sheet on it. So that was one weird thing on there. We went through the house with the realtor. There are some foundation issues. We're like, okay, there are some foundation issues that's not uncommon. It's not going to stop me from buying a house completely. If a civil engineer comes back and says it's okay, that's maybe the one time I trust a civil engineer. Through engineering school, they would always be jokes about them. Civil engineers, you're just building these structures that aren't too difficult. These beams are just going straight up and down, which I don't know if I regret that. Any jokes I made about them, because they'd be very important in the house buying process. But oh well, it happens. Live and you learn. Now I know better that there are more important things that they do. But found that house, talked to them. They asked, "Oh, is this something where it's worth breaking your lease over, paying the extra amount because you're not fulfilling your apartment lease?" Said yes. Then talked to the lender, where we're slightly ahead of what our schedule that we initially planned, because we did not have enough money saved up for what we planned on having for the down payment. So because we didn't have enough of that saved up, the monthly payment was too much, and we didn't want to do that, didn't feel comfortable paying that extra amount. So went back to the realtor, said, hey, talk to the lender. We have some issues about how much it is. And now real estate agent thinks that we're broke. He wants us to meet with a different lender, get another person's input on that, and the main culprit cause of this is we just are too ahead of schedule. We knew it would take us longer to build up the amount we want, but we started looking anyway, got a little too excited for it. Happens, not very upset about that. I'm not, but real estate agent, have a meeting later with this guy. Maybe he'll drop us as a client and we'll have to find someone else as a real estate agent. Or, different thought I had is, well, if we don't get a real estate agent and just hire Amazon or some other delivery driver, they're constantly going in and out of these neighborhoods. They know the area very well. They see houses that have for sale signs in front of them. They might be aware of houses being sold before the realtor is, because they're going up and down these neighborhoods multiple times a day, all day, every day. And they know what the neighborhoods are like. They know how much traffic there is. They know all this information. So maybe that's a different avenue that Amazon's going to go down next, is just have their delivery drivers tell about the neighborhoods and say whether it's a good area to be, whether it's a sale of a house, how many packages they're delivering to a place. I don't know if the number of Amazon packages delivered to an area would make that place more or less valuable. Well, they would obviously have the information of what is being delivered. Maybe if it's higher end products, they would say, this is a nicer area. They're spending this much money. They're getting these kind of products, these kinds of brands. That's a neighborhood area where it's pretty high priced. And they might start buying up houses like Zillow and these other places in BlackRock just to take that over for them. But the other thing that happened this weekend, went to the Adam Ray as Dr. Phil show, which I have somewhat mixed feelings on how it went. It was funny, but we went to the Friday show of it, and because the Friday show sold out early enough, he added a second show on Thursday. In the second show on Thursday, he announced who the guests were. The guests were Dan Soder, Matt McCusker, Ari Maddie. And when he announced those, I thought, man, I'd rather go to the Thursday show. Because for the Dr. Phil shows, he doesn't announce who the guests are going to be. You just see them when you show up, typically. But for whatever reason, he announced them early. I think that was because he offered a live stream option for people to buy and watch the show live. Because he posts a lot of the shows on YouTube. And YouTube, I don't watch all of them. I just watch them based on the guests. It's not him doing stand-up by himself. It's him interacting with a guest. Because for stand-up shows, when it's just one person, you know who that's going to be. Say, okay, I'm going to watch this person. I know what to expect. The openers, you might know them, you might not know them. But for the Dr. Phil show, it is pretty heavily based on who the guests are. So I guess he brought up some guy I didn't know, Jack Kennedy, I think. He was from some Malibu's Most Wanted, I think. He was okay. I didn't find him the funniest. Then he brought out Bobby Lee, which Bobby Lee's been on previous episodes of Dr. Phil. I think he's pretty funny. So it was fun to see that. Then the last guest he brought out, which it was kind of tough to bring the way he introduced him. Because how he announced him was, you guys know Ralph Barbosa, which people in the crowd did because Ralph Barbosa is from Texas, and some people there probably saw him. They go, you guys know who Ralph Barbosa is? Well, this is his podcast co-host, Jamie. And I thought to myself, wow, there weren't any other credentials you give. The crowd had Ralph Barbosa in their head. Then you said, here's his co-host. Which I understand you gotta bring some not as well known people on, and he's kind of local to the area. But those three versus the three that were there on Thursday, I'd rather have gone to the Thursday show for it. I didn't watch the live stream. I assume it was funny because all three of those guys I've seen do stand up on their own, listen to their podcasts pretty regularly. But it was still funny. I don't know if I'll go to one in the future. And Dr. Phil wasn't as big as I thought he was because I had an extra ticket. I asked other people if they wanted to go, which I went with a couple other people, but because of whatever scheduling reasons, had an extra ticket as well. I asked other my friends if they wanted to go. They hadn't heard of Dr. Phil. They were kind of confused. They thought, is this a comedy show with Adam Ray? Or they thought, why are you going to see Dr. Phil? Who's going on Dr. Phil? I didn't even know he was still doing shows. So that was kind of interesting talking to people about that. So he wasn't as big as I thought he was. But he was pretty funny. If I would go see him again, I don't know if I would. Because it was also difficulty going to Dallas again. Don't like going there. And where we sat, there were 3 levels to it. There was balcony, the first floor, and then there's like, I don't know what the middle, it was just the second floor. I don't know what the name of it is. But we sat there. It was kind of weird. It was kind of like closed in. So like there's just a strip that you could see through. Maybe it would have been more fun if we were on the first floor because there was a lot of interactions with the fans on the first floor, but didn't go for those tickets. I don't know what the costs were. I know like sitting in the front row, it was a lot more, which they usually are at comedy shows, but at Dr. Phil shows especially, he interacts a lot with the front row of people. I'm surprised he didn't have any athlete celebrities. He's had a number of those on shows, but he didn't for this one. Okay, that one, this one. Okay, so recording on my phone, I think it's been better. I think the qualities look better. I don't know if it's exactly horizontal completely. I don't know, looking at my tripod stand, it might not be perfectly horizontal, but that's okay. You can get the main ideas of what's happening here. But recently I've been thinking maybe I need to upgrade my phone. I don't know what the criteria is for me thinking I need to upgrade my phone. I think I have the iPhone 10 when I get it. I don't know when I got it. 6 years ago, maybe? I don't know. You can look up when the iPhone 10 came out. So it wasn't before then. But also, I don't think I got it exactly when it came out. I probably waited for it. But it has the multiple cameras on the back of it. I think some of the cameras might be broken. I think that because I've dropped the phone multiple times. I have a case on it so it hasn't broken the phone. But the cameras, sometimes when I open up the cameras, it's kind of blurry and fuzzy. Then I have to shake the phone, and then the camera works again, and it's clearer. So it makes me think that something is loose in the cameras from dropping it so much. But because there are multiple cameras on, I've just been able to switch between different ones. If I do the zoomed in one, I just hold it back farther, for which they work intermittently. I think that's the right word. They work occasionally. Sometimes the 1x camera works fine. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes 0.5 camera works. Sometimes it doesn't. But depending on which one's working at the time, I'll switch between which one and just hold the phone closer or farther away. But I haven't gotten that yet. I don't know if I would get the newest iPhone. Obviously, with March Madness, there are commercials all the time, different things. And one of them is the phones one, saying, don't pay off your phones, just get this one. But your monthly bill is just higher because you didn't pay off the phone, and you have to stay with them, because if you don't, they might take the phone back. But this made me think of what my first phone was, and kind of my history of having a phone. So first phone I got when I was in 8th grade was when I was going to Chicago. Not the only time I've been to Chicago. The only time I've been like within the city of Chicago. I've been to the suburbs of Chicago a couple times. But within the city, there for tourist stuff, doing the aquarium, the deep dish pizza, stuff like that. That's when I got my first phone. It It was just a red flip phone on it. I don't even think I had texting on it. Maybe I had a limited amount, but I remember at first there was a limit on it, so couldn't go that much with texting. It would just be for phone calls. And I got it because I think my parents were worried about how dangerous Chicago is or was back then. So that's why they got it for me. Before then, I'm kind of surprised how they knew when to pick me up or drop me off at different places. Going to all these practices, I guess people had to be stricter on what time things would end for practice because they would be there. I don't remember waiting too long I don't remember being the only person left at practice before everyone else got picked up. They were usually there on time. So I just knew that. But yeah, got the phone then, but before then, what hap- what I would I don't know, what would happen sometimes is when I'd ride the bus, school bus, there would be other kids on there who would have their phone, who would have phones, and they would be able to text. For whatever reason, they would let me have their phone on the bus ride. I don't know if I traded something else for them to use. I don't know if I let them play my Game Boy, use my iPod, or something along those lines. I don't remember, but sometimes they would let me use their phone. So I would just take their phone, text whoever I wanted to text. I would say, "Hey, this is Jacob," and then just have the conversation that way. Which I don't know what happened when I left. When I gave the phone back, if those conversations would just stop. I don't know how that person got those phone numbers. I didn't get them. Why would I ask someone for their phone number? I didn't have a phone. But this person's phone I was using, they would have other people's phone numbers. So glad he went through and got those phone numbers to text. Because if I was someone else and they say, "Oh, I'm this person," I would always think in the back of my head, okay, whatever I put, the person's phone it is can go back and read the messages, and I don't know when that person will stop texting me. Will they say, "Okay, I'm leaving now, bye"? What if they forget to do that? It was wild times. I mean, not the wildest, but it was pretty funny doing that and thinking back. Yeah, I used to borrow other people's phones and just text people as myself on their phones, which, yeah, that was pretty funny to see. But I might upgrade my phone just so I can get a bigger screen to play backyard baseball because that is coming out, I think, this week. I don't know if this episode will be out in time, but if it is, you're welcome. I've seen some things online about it. There's some ball boy named Amir Khan for McNeese State. So I've seen a lot of backyard baseball Amir Khan and that Amir Khan like shaking hands together, things like that. But maybe I need to get a bigger screen for backyard baseball to play on that. Or alternatively, I might break out my iPad. I don't know where it is. I haven't. Well, this isn't that big of apartment, so it's not that hard to find. Because I know I didn't. I definitely didn't throw it away. So I have it. So I might need to break that back out. I don't really use that too often because how I used it before would just be watching Netflix at my other apartments when the TV was farther away or there would be someone else watching it. So I haven't really needed it because I can just use TVs here, but I use my phone to watch things. Getting the iPad out is just another thing that I would have to charge. So I might have to get that back out to play backyard baseball. I think my iPad screen is cracked. Is it? It might be cracked or it might just be the cover of it. Oh, maybe I'll have to use my wife's iPad for it. Because, yeah, I'm going to play backyard baseball. It's going to take me back to the good old days. It's not, maybe, I don't know if it'll make my heart, if it'll increase my heart rate the way playing Battlefront 2 does. Maybe it will. Maybe it'll give me chest pains. Who knows? Worth it. Take a couple years off my life to play backyard baseball. Fine with me. But they're bringing that back. I don't know if they're bringing their other versions of games back, the other sports, because again, growing up, nostalgia. This will be some of nostalgia going back. First phone games I used to play. Used to play the basketball one, soccer, hockey, baseball, football, but I don't remember what years because I did go back. I think it was around Christmas because I was gonna get one of my brothers. I think I was just gonna get him the CD-ROM games, which I don't know if the computer he has it. Well, you can get an external CD driver or CD-ROM reader. So I was gonna get him those. Then when I talked to him about it, he said there's just an emulator you can get and install and play games that way. But looking through the game titles, I wasn't sure which year I got them. I don't know how much did CD-ROMs cost. Were they that expensive to get? Do my parents buy them every year? Because now for video games they're $60. I don't even know. I think $60, 60 or 70, depending if you get it early, depending if you get an upgrade package for it. But I think I played most of them. Because there are some where I recognize the players. I think in the back of my head that I remember playing with them, but not 100% certain for that. So the other games, I don't know if they're bringing those other ones back. They might just be soft launching the entire series. So maybe they'll come out with the other ones and they'll, I don't know, because they went away for a reason. I don't know if people were playing it or they didn't keep up with the times. Because I don't know if those games would translate well to video game consoles. They were pretty nice for the computer. So the mobile, I think that's pretty cool for them. I didn't know they were coming back until a couple weeks ago. Then all of a sudden I need to stop. Whatever. I see Backyard Baseball coming out March 27th. I think that's because it is 21st. Maybe this will drop the day before. So listen to this podcast, get the inside scoop on games coming out. But if they charge money for it, I'll have to figure out how to justify that expense of paying for Backyard Baseball. If they have in-game upgrades, which just give the entire game a bunch of in-game ads for a bunch of random things. Get more coins, spend $5. Get more rolls, $2. It's not that much money, just click it once. But once you become a buying in-game, what is it, in-game, they're not cheat codes, in-game promotions, I think that might be a hard thing to go back from. I haven't bought in-game things. I don't think I've bought anything from the App Store. Everything I bought has just been free, just in-game version of it. Whatever free version they have. But for Backyard Baseball, maybe I'll fall into that trap. Maybe they'll offer some upgrade, some special ability. Maybe they'll offer a Mega Juice Box. That's what one of the tweets they had. They said Mega Juice Box coming in this version of the game. Maybe that will cost however much to get that upgrade. Maybe there'll be player upgrades. I don't know. But it'll be fun to see. I'm excited for it. The other games, again, this is a nostalgia part. Other games would play Risk. I'd play that on CD. I would never play that in person. I don't know how people would play that in person. That is a long. I think it's confusing because now I kind of forget how to play, but it's just like dice rolling. Remember there's dice rolling, attacking. But there would be a number of countries there, so I don't know how many people you have to get to play it. Because I remember there's being a number of countries. Maybe I'll put a star by that one. Maybe I'll look up Risk. Maybe there's a free version of that I can play online. But I also might be bored of it. It might not be as interesting to play. Because when I was a kid, it was kind of surprising. I would just look at the numbers. I have more than this number. Oh, I'm going to attack them and just go down and keep attacking until I just have a bunch of 1 units everywhere. I would play that one. Other CDs, I think it would be You Don't Know Jack. I don't remember that. I think that was a No, it wasn't TV. I think it was a trivia type game for it. I don't remember. What other CDs would I play? I forget one. Now I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I think there was some green one. Green looking one. I don't know. My brothers probably remember it better than me. Well, other games, just general board games, Monopoly. I guess we were able to get through Monopoly games pretty fine. I really wouldn't know what the strategy was for it. Trading, I think I would just get ripped off all the time. I don't remember winning too much for it. And we had it was like a Monopoly thing where there were, I don't know, 5-and-1 type things. Because we would have that one. Then we would have it had chess in it. So I played chess against my brothers. I didn't know how to play. Well, I knew how the pieces move. This one only goes front and back. This one goes in an L. This one goes forward. This one can go anywhere. A king. Somehow it's a king, but can only move one space at a time. That's a dumb rule for it. But I never knew the strategy of it. I never thought moves ahead, setting myself up for this thing. That didn't occur to me. I would just think if I move this piece, I get there. That's about it. But I'm more of a checkers guy. Checkers is similar to chess where you have to think ahead of what's your opponent going to do. I don't do that too much. I just move where I think is a good one. I don't think too far ahead for it. That one plays categories. Categories. That one I don't know if you have to think too much of it, but categories, which I'll explain here quickly. You just roll a die. I think there are 20 sides on it. And each dot and each space has a different letter. They take out some of the letters. There's probably not an X. I don't know if there's a Z on there. But you just roll that, and whatever letter it is, there are lists worth like 12 things on it of different categories, such as things in the house, things you buy, presidents, state capitals, which there'd be categories of things that have a lot of options in them. It's not just one thing for one category, one specific thing, because then you go through and compete against others to see who could have listed the most number of things but not list the same things as someone else. That one we play that one. That one's pretty fun to do. Other things then, besides just board games, play card games. People have different names for all of them, different rules. Play gin, Arizona rummy, regular rummy, sheep's head, stuff like that. Then with other people, I went to high school with, we play euchre, and that turned into having a kind of euchre night every week, where sometimes we play cards, sometimes would do other activities that would be more fun, more like competitive type things. We'd play, well, one thing we went to a haunted house, haunted, whatever you believe in that, ghosts, not ghosts. Oh well, it was just overall a scary, dark place. That's why I didn't like it, not because of the haunting stuff so much. Well, I don't know if it was a haunted house. Might have been, because it was bigger than a house. I don't know if it was an abandoned nursing home. If it wasn't if it was an abandoned like nursing home or like a psych ward for mental people. I assume it. I don't know. I only went there once. I drove past it a couple times, but I only went there once, which that was more than I wanted to do. Because when we went there, what's statute of limitations on this? I would say this is a story based on real life events. Then that's the out that way. Because I don't think they have proof that we were there. They talked to other people asking if I was there. Hearsay, which, yeah, watching, what show was that? I even forget the show I just watched on Netflix. Whatever one. What's the name of it? What's the name of it with Harvey and Mike, Meghan Markle? I haven't watched the Meghan Markle thing. A lot of people say it's not good for it. Not White Collar. Whatever. Suits. That's the name of it. Watching that. That's where I got that update from. Which new show I'm watching, Temptation Island. I have not watched it before. I don't know what the previous seasons were. I know there's Montoya guy who from the Spanish version, European version of Temptation Island, where he went through a not great experience. But these couples, they just take the guys and the girls apart, then they just get tempted by all these other people. I don't know how any of these guys expect to get back together with these girlfriends after all they do in these activities. Whatever growing, whatever learning you're doing, I don't know how you get back. One couple said, our line is no kissing another girl. Thought, okay, what a great line to have. Is that I wasn't really sure why you had to establish that, why that wasn't kind of an assumed line. But people have their different views on relationships. And the host of it, I don't know if he's a therapist, but for these relationships, it's kind of the producers deciding how things are going to go for it. What clips are they going to show? What situations are they going to put? What are they going to suggest these people to do? I don't know if any of these couples are going to work out, which that might be what the producers want, is the viewer to think that no, this is going to work out, no one's living happily ever after, blah, blah, blah. But right now, I don't think they will make it. There are 4 couples. I don't know if any of them will. But, okay, back to the haunted house. The hearsay. The story. Fictional, based on true events. Whatever. First time we went there, someone had to climb up to the second floor open window, then open a door to let everyone else in. When we went in there, we play capture the flag. The reverse hide and seek, where there's one person who has to go and find other people, then the other people, they are hiding out, and then they have to get to a safe area, the home base, without the one person finding them and tagging them. Remember that? I was very not too crazy with it. I was going like rooms, be quiet in there, wait for people to go past. I wasn't trying to find any secret areas, secret tunnels. There were 1 or 2 people who would go in the elevator shaft. Evidently, I don't know, I guess the place didn't have electricity at all. I guess the elevator wasn't working. But I thought to myself, that is a crazy thing to do. Why are you going inside this elevator shaft? Whatever game we're playing, whatever the stakes are, going in an elevator shaft, not worth it. Something breaking, the wires falling, snapping, the elevator starting to work and going up and then getting smashed, not worth it. They would go into there for the haunted house. Well, haunted. I keep saying haunted house, but it's not much bigger than a house. There were multiple rooms. There was a kitchen area. I don't even know what the name of the place was. Broken glass. Pizza boxes. Empty beer cans. Might have been, for all we know, there might have been homeless people in the area. I think that probably freaked me out more than anything else, is the thought that someone else could be in here and we wouldn't know it because we're all going out trying to hide, not be by each other. There could just be random people there not doing great things. I don't think I saw any needles on the ground. There definitely could have been. I'd assume there probably were. But we would do that. Other things, we play Ultimate Frisbee a decent number of times. That I wasn't very good. Not a good thrower, better catcher for it. But we would go play that sometimes in a park area. But a lot of times we would go to the football field that was shared between multiple high schools. Go there. There wouldn't be any lights on. Frisbee would be glow in the dark. That much more willing to do that. But number of times where the cops would come. which I'm surprised they didn't come more often because the stadium was on somewhat of a busy street, but they wouldn't come by all the time. It was only a handful of times or so where they would come, and all they would do, I don't even know how. I think how would they get us off the field? Because to get to the field, allegedly, maybe not, statute of limitations, we would have to jump the fence to get over to the field. I don't think the cops were doing that, but I also don't think they had keys to get into the field. So how did they get there? I don't know. Maybe they would just go to the parking lot, flash their lights, and say, "Hey, get off the field." But if they did that, then we would probably just run the other direction and hop over a different fence there instead of going back the way where the cop was. Yeah, the cop would be by people's cars, but we could say, nope, not our cars. Someone else is parked there. It's whatever people's nearby neighbors, not our cars. But whenever that happened, I don't think anyone ever got a ticket for it. We would have to give the policeman our IDs if you had one. Hard to keep track, one police guy, of how many kids there were out there. We would give him IDs. He would threaten to call our parents. Maybe he was just looking to see if people in high school, do they have warrants out for them? Is he just going through seeing if anyone has a warrant out for their arrest? Which that would be something I'm not familiar with. There might be people who are, but I was not in a group of people with outstanding warrants between them. So we would do that. It was, yeah, so it was just like a miscellaneous night where we just do whatever, sometimes stay in, sometimes go out, find, I don't know, different ways to get food. Sometimes parents would make us food, sometimes others would just buy us pizza for it. That's pretty much it. That's the only story. But playing video games, do I need to find a video game that I can play with my wife? I've seen some things online where I think it's a cooking game where you're running a kitchen, serving people stressful events, and it's supposed to help, like, I don't know, I guess people get closer together, teamwork together. Because games I'm playing now aren't too teamworky. I don't think my wife would understand them. Kind of too much sports / shooting games, which I don't think she would like. But if I need to get just the food cooking one, that might raise my heart rate the most out of any of the games, is doing a game with her. I would, if I was the head chef, I would probably lose my temper. I would understand why they get upset for it. But we tried doing some board games, which when those board games get broken up, things are bad. Either something's not on TV, nothing else to do, nothing else to talk about, but that's when those happen. Which maybe she shouldn't have said that. She's not going to like that comment. Things aren't bad, just we don't find anything else to do. No money to go out and spend on other things. So we end up doing that. And sometimes we just don't want to go out and do that. Okay. I'll say this last thing till next week. That's fine. Not saving too much. So, yeah, that's enough time. This might be a shorter one, but that's okay. I gotta get some food and eat that. So, well, beforehand, the workout video I posted, it was kind of random, didn't fit too much with the podcast. I wanted to post something else that was besides the podcast, so I wouldn't just have a reel. So I wouldn't just have an Instagram of a bunch of reels. I think what I'm going to call that is, which I might change this name. Who knows? But I haven't trademarked it yet, so still flexible. I might call that PhD TV, which I thought that, I don't know, not the most original thing, but I think it goes together because there's HGTV, and then when I was a kid, wouldn't always have high definition channels, would sometimes have standard definition. So if you want to see HD, it would be called HD TV, and putting the P in front of it, I think that's pretty interesting for it. But that's just more, it's not going to be regular, it's not going to be every week, maybe once a month, but it'll just be when I have something. It's not going to be fully behind the scenes. It'll just be some other activity that's going on. So that way, I can distinguish it from the podcast and see what's going on there. I was going to say one other thing. Oh, I did post, when I posted the workout video, did post it twice. The first one, I posted it as just a collage or catalog, whichever one, of just five, how many did I post? 5 different videos and a cover art thing. And I thought that would get enough interaction, stuff like that. But I realized that posting pictures, well, I knew pictures wouldn't, but I thought this would be different because it was a bunch of videos that would get more interactions. But then it wasn't getting any, which is behind the scenes. I don't know if anyone cares about this, but this is what it takes to grow a podcast. Maybe not even grow. This is what I'm doing to try to grow my podcast. So I wasn't getting anything. So then there's a way to make a post into a reel. So I just took parts of each video and made that into a reel. And it's much shorter, kind of just 1 rep at each workout. I don't know which one's the best. Should I have just made a reel of all the lifts together in one reel? Then that would be kind of a long reel. And I don't know what the limit. Well, some reels can go pretty long. Or should I just keep with the double posting? Which I don't know if it makes too much difference. The double posting. If I unpin it, you'll see 2 posts right next to each other. Maybe I'll just hide a post. Could happen for that if someone catches me doing that. But yeah, that's what I did for that. Okay. Thank you very much for listening. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, DM, reach out, PH Dilemma Pod on Instagram, on X, on Twitter, and try to keep this thing going. Okay, thank you very much for your time. Bye.